Welcome to another ladies' night. Moff, you have a panel lined up for us. You want to do the intros?
I would love to. Ladies, thank you for coming. I hope we have at least another one or two that'll drop in at some point. Maybe some technical difficulties is what we're kind of going through right now. But we'll start with the two ladies that are here present. Ladies, we'll just go around the horn really quick, do some introductions. What we'll ask is just name, age, where you're from, what you do, current relationship status, and then what piqued your interest in coming on to the show tonight. Let's go ahead and start with Santana.
Hi, thank you for having me. My name is Santana. I'm 31. I live in New York City. Well, from New York City. I work in hospitality and as well as like social media personality influencer. And I'm married.
And what piqued your interest coming on the show tonight?
Well, I frequent the manosphere quite often.
Really?
So,
okay.
Yeah. I like this content, and when I was asked to be a part of the conversation, I couldn't pass that up. So here I am.
Wonderful. Well, we're glad you're here.
Thank you.
Monique, what about you?
Trying to remember the questions here, Moff, so help me out here. I'm
Well-
56.
Yep.
I'm divorced.
Okay.
And sorry, what are the other questions?
Age?
Age, I said I was 56.
You said age. Where are you from?
I'm from Canada, specifically Ontario. Do you want a bit more specific in city?
No, it's okay. You said you're divorced, but are you currently seeing anybody? Or are you in a relationship? Or are
I'm
you single?
single. No, I'm
Okay.
single.
And then what was your reason for wanting to come on the show tonight? Because you reached out to me for wanting to come on.
I'm one of your unique, I guess, women that is your breadwinner. So I'm anxious to hear advice that you can offer me for a high value man, how to attract a high value man. I've watched some of your shows and clips and what have you, Rich and Moff. I agree with most of your stuff. I'm not here to debate some. Like, I haven't done my homework, so I'm here on a impromptu. So just here to hear more advice on how to attract high value men.
Okay.
All
What
right.
do you want to start with, Moff?
Because I've been burnt once and I don't want to be burnt again.
Well, let's
Just
start
once?
there.
Just once? Your entire life?
Burnt once, entire life. I was with this guy for 36 years. So is
Wow.
that enough for you?
Usually more than once in somebody's 56 years, but 36 year. What was it? A marriage or?
Marriage. I was with him. I was married 26, with him 36.
All right.
So
Do you want to pull
let's
in
say
our
I,
guest?
Yeah,
I
let's
was young.
pause really quick. We got
Yeah, let's pull in our
Eliana
guest
is going to
here.
come in.
Hi.
Here we go. Eliana,
Hello.
Hi, guys.
how you doing? Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
No worries. We just did a quick round of intros, so we'll kick it to you. It's just name, age, where you're from. We don't care about what you do is not important. I mean, you could say what you do. Name, age, where you're from, what you do, relationship status, and then what interested you in coming onto the show tonight.
I'm Eliana Mendez. I am 25. What was the question? I'm Dominican and I was raised in Georgia. The reason why I came on this show is because one, I obviously saw FNF and I was like, I've been on FNF and I enjoyed it.
And you said you were single in a relationship. What's your relationship status?
I'm super single and I'm not looking and I don't want to be in a relationship.
Okay. And you said
Sorry.
25, right?
You're 25, right?
Yeah.
And what do you do for a living?
I work in IT, so I do like cybersecurity.
Okay, so we've got super single, doesn't want a relationship. We've got married, and we've got divorced and wants a high value man. I want to go back to Monique. So what happened with the burn in the long-term relationship? You said you got burned once and you didn't want to go through it again.
Yeah, he just wanted more control and I had enough of it and just went on my own way.
What sort of control did he want that you weren't willing to give him?
Money. I always questioned when I wanted to spend my own money.
He didn't
But
have his own
yet-
money?
Oh, of course he had his money. I let him go to Myrtle Beach every year for 10 days with the men and do whatever he wanted.
Mhm.
Hey, but it was at the point where he didn't want to work anymore and was always relying on me. And I was tired of paying his own way and time to. I
So,
should have made that decision 20 years ago. Let's just put it that way. But I
so,
finally took the plunge and took courage and to leave him.
so why did he stop working?
He didn't stop working. He just didn't improve his profession.
So he was employed, but he wasn't climbing the corporate ladder.
To improve, no, he didn't do anything to improve.
Did you make more money than him, or did he make more money
Oh
than
yeah, oh yeah.
you? Oh yeah, so
I
sounds
made
like
double.
significantly more.
I made double his money. Today I'm paying, let's just say I'm paying child support, but I have no kids.
So you're paying
What?
child support to one of his kids that wasn't yours.
No, no kids. None
Okay.
on his kids. I'm just calling it child support, but it's
Oh, you're
spousal
calling
support.
him being on child support because you're paying
Exactly.
him alimony.
Bingo.
Oh, that sucks, huh?
It does.
Yeah,
It's
well,
not very common. You don't see that a lot.
yeah, it doesn't happen too much to the ladies. It happens
Yeah.
a lot more to the
No.
men.
And I was close to retiring too, and so much for that shit.
What do you do for a living, or what were you doing when you were working?
I still work. He forced me to continue working so I can pay his child support.
Okay.
What do you
What do
do?
you do for a living?
So I work for the government. I work in
Yeah,
IT. I'm a
okay.
team leader for the government
Okay.
in a particular section.
Wow. Moff.
Yeah,
What do you want
wow.
to start out with, buddy?
How about that? What?
We got an interesting one here. Okay, so
Yeah.
you're seeking a high value guy, is what you said at the beginning, right? Can you define what this guy looks like? Can you paint a picture? Give us an avatar.
Well, I don't know. I've I've watched some of your videos, Rich, and you indicate that these you're not high on marriage. And I guess me being the breadwinner, I wouldn't want to live with someone that made less than me because I've learned my lesson once.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I continue to have a relationship, but I don't live with the guy or I don't marry the guy.
Okay,
Right?
so let me just tick off some boxes. So, how much money does he have to make on an annual basis to be with you? Because you don't want to be
Do
with
I have
somebody.
to give you an exact figure?
Let's
Ballpark
just
it.
say, how much does he have to make to be making more than you?
Okay, a little over 6 figures.
Okay, so we'll call it
All right.
$125. And as far as looks go, like, do you have a type?
Not really. I'm not
At all?
fussy.
You're not fussy, so 5'1",
It depends. Like, I
475
mean,
pounds.
don't give me somebody that's 300 pounds.
Okay, so not 300 pounds, so
Not obese.
not obese.
No, and I'm not your typical 6 feet. If he's 5'11", 5'10", I'm good with that. I'm only 5'5".
Okay, so he's got to be tall. Okay, and making a little bit more money than you. Anything else? Like, you got a type there?
Can he have kids?
I'm okay with kids. I don't have kids, so I'm offering that. Sure,
What age? What age you looking
I'm
at dating?
open. I'm open.
I mean, you got to have an idea.
Younger, older?
No, I'm open.
You're just wide open. So
I'm wide
75 all the way down to 30.
We're talking kids here, eh?
No,
I don't
no.
know.
The age of the man, right?
Oh, the age of the man. Sorry, I
Not the
thought you were
children.
talking about age of kids.
No, we're talking about the
Age
age
of
of
the
the
guy.
guy that you're into.
Well, I don't know. What's your opinion?
I'm not the one that's got to date the guy. You're the one that's got to date the guy.
I know, but hey,
what's
I
the
don't
kind of
want
guy that you're
I
looking
don't
for?
want to be portrayed as a cougar either.
Why
So
would you
I'm
care?
not. I'm asked. Why would I care?
Yeah.
To a degree, I do.
Okay.
So what's the limit? What's the younger and the older limit? Let's just start there.
46.
Okay. And then so
And
10 years younger and then 10 years older?
10 years. I'd be willing to go. Today's men, some are better than others. 72.
Pretty big
Okay.
spread. Okay.
Depending on,
All right.
depending, there's always exceptions to the rule, eh?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what are you looking for in a man? Like what's he got to do for you? Is it to sit and cuddle, hold hands, intimacy? Like what is it that you're looking for specifically?
Pretty much, yeah.
All of the standard boyfriend stuff.
Pretty much. You know the women.
Yeah. And what's been going on? Like what's happening when you're talking to these guys today? How are they responding to you? Because you said that
Oh, I've let's just say I've had one since my divorce.
Okay.
And I found he was a coward. I've also heard you, Rich, on at least one video or clip indicating men are cowards. I
Okay.
felt he was a coward.
What do you mean by coward? Like what did he do?
This was I had a gut feeling on him. It was your typical online dating, and it was a long distance. And I knew, hey, is the long distance going to be a factor here? Oh no. And yeah, I agree, Rich. The men all they want is sex, and I knew that deep down inside. And sure, fine. You want to tell me that? I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. No, it's not going to make a difference. Okay, I'll play the game. So I played the game. He came down. He drove 4 hours, and then he went home. And then we chit-chatted. I don't
I'm a little bit
remember
confused. Can
what-
you just explain where the coward part comes in? Like what made him a
I'm
coward?
getting there.
Okay, all right,
So
all right.
he came down to my house a few times.
Okay.
And then we chit-chatted again, and I sensed something was up. He's not responding the way he was. He's not giving me the attention, and this is long distance. Remember, we're just able to video chat, and we were doing a lot of video chat, and all of a sudden that kind of changed a bit. So, hey, something's up. Can we chit-chat? And he's avoiding my questions. And I asked him a couple of times, and he avoided my questions. And still to today, I'm wondering why he's avoiding me. And next thing I know, I see pictures of him with another chick. So he found another chick.
How does that make him a coward though?
He's avoiding answering my questions,
What questions did you ask him that he avoided?
asking him to come forward and talk to me. Why wouldn't he come forward and say and be upfront? Well, at least is a long distance a factor. Where did we go wrong?
Okay, well let's ask you the question. Where do you think that you went wrong with that?
I have no clue.
Do you think the 4 hours had anything to do with it?
He found another chick that was closer to him.
Right. And you're upset because you wanted him to tell you that, or?
To some degree, yeah.
Okay.
Be upfront, not be a coward about it.
How much dating experience do you have since you got
None.
separated, divorced?
None.
This is the first guy.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is par for the course. It's called ghosting. If you're with somebody on a date or two and you don't hear from them and they're not responsive, you just move on. They're just not interested.
And I have.
Yeah, that's not a cowardly behavior. That's just what people do today. There's no notice given. I mean, if you're dating for a while and you've done stuff and you've seen each other for several months, and there's going to be a conversation to be had. Like, hey, I don't see this going anywhere, and here's why. If they're not willing to do that, then yes, I would call them a coward. But expecting somebody to drive 4 hours to come and see you and then offer you an explanation as to why they decided to, see somebody closer to them that's a better fit, it's not really
But
necessary.
he came back twice, eh, Rich?
He came and saw you twice?
Exactly afterwards.
So 3 times.
So 3 times.
3 times, okay. And he drove 4 hours each time to come and see you.
Exactly.
That's a
Let
lot
me
of
ask you this:
driving.
Did he
12 hours
did
of
you-
driving.
Did you end up giving it up to him eventually on one of those 3 dates, or no?
What? Sorry, what's the question?
Did you sleep with the guy on one of those
I
3
did.
dates?
I did.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's a lot.
I made that bad decision too.
Oh, I don't know if it's a bad decision. But,
Look,
Was it bad? Like, was the
go ahead.
oh, go ahead.
Well, let's just say I won't do that again.
What? Sleep with the guy?
no, be into that particular situation or work that fast,
Okay. It was on the third date that you guys hooked up,
pretty
I
much.
guess. Okay. All right.
Pretty much.
All right. Well, welcome to the dating world, Monique, after
I see
36
that.
years of marriage.
I see that.
You're going to get guys that are going to be interested in the intimacy part quickly. That's common. You know, women are beauty objects to men. So you're going to have the push for that. You're looking for a relationship, from what I gather.
At some point, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm ready right now. Eventually, yeah.
How long are
Probably.
you gonna wait?
Pardon?
How long are you gonna wait?
If it happens, it happens.
Okay.
But
Excuse my
there's-
co-host. How rude.
I don't want to get. I
I'm
don't
not-
want to
Excuse my,
get too.
I'm not-
excuse
Yeah.
my
I have
rude
to-
co-host.
Let me explain. So
How dare
I had a list of things that I've kept, and one of the things that I talked about in a video I did in my car literally 2 days ago was, if it happens, it happens, because I've heard this pop up over and over again from women of
Wow.
all ages on this show for over a year now. If it happens, it happens, and I think that's a terrible approach to relationships if that's what it is you're looking for. There's a certain degree of osmosis that happens. Sure, okay. If the chemistry's there, good. But I think that a lot of the gals that come on the show, especially as they get into the autumn years of their life, start thinking along the lines of, well, if it happens, it happens. I think you have to be a little more intentional. Like, one of the things that you have to be intentional about is a 4-hour drive for any guy. That's absurd. It's literally retarded. Like, I would not drive 4 hours. I would even drive 40 minutes to go and see a chick. It's way too much. It's way too much. So if you're setting yourself up for failure from the get-go by expanding your reach, I'm assuming you're using a dating app if you met him 4 hours away, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that right?
I said yes. Sorry if you didn't.
Or I didn't hear you. So narrow it down, something a little bit more reasonable, because when it comes to dating, people get tired driving 4 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour.
Yeah, I get it, Rich, but he didn't even offer me once to. Didn't even ask the question.
What question's that?
Pardon?
What question's that?
Asked me to go down.
He didn't ask you to go down. Did you offer to go down?
No.
Okay. There's two people in the conversation. You can always offer to go down and see him too, yeah?
Exactly.
But 4 hours is a long drive. Like, are you going to take a relationship seriously for a 4-hour drive?
I hear you. No, I agree.
So why even entertain it?
Because I knew that he was also looking for a place, that the place that he was in was apparently not his forever home.
So he was looking to move?
Possibly.
Foster.
I know he was looking for a place while we were together.
Mm. You dated two or three times, though. You weren't together. You weren't in a relationship.
Exactly, but we would talk about his looking at this particular house and this particular house. So it was just conversation that we had.
Yeah, let me give you a piece of advice with conversation. Like, watch what people do, not so much what they talk about. You know, the same thing. Like, I tell guys this all the time. Like, watch what women do. Don't listen to what they're saying. Watch what the guys are doing when you're dating them.
I've
Like,
learned
conversation piece. Oh, I think I'd like to move into this area. Okay, cool. Do you have a house closing in the next 30 days? Like, what's going on? You put a deposit down on something. You're waiting for the appraisal to come. Like, where you at?
Yeah, I know guys that use Tinder and they'll drop their pin in like cities around the country and they'll match with girls and they go, "Oh yeah, I'm just thinking about moving out here," because they're trying to see if they can, make something happen. So
Yeah, men and women both
let me
do
see
that.
the deed. Yeah, let me see the contract.
Oh man.
All right, why don't we circle back?
Yeah. Okay. Let's circle back. You want to go to Santana or?
Sure.
So, married and likes the manosphere. What do you like about the manosphere? What about it appeals to you?
Well, I think it's very interesting that you brought up dating with intention, because I got to a point in my life years ago where I felt like I was not having good luck in relationships, and like all the guys I was dating were trash. It didn't work out. And I got real with myself and was like, what? Obviously, I'm the common denominator. What am I doing wrong that I'm not attracting a man that is up to my standard? And then one of my close guy friends, he sent me the video, the infamous video of Kevin Samuels, the Average at Best video. And I was hooked from there. So it was like a rabbit hole. And I just came to realizing a lot about understanding men and the male's perspective, the male experience. And that, honestly, I feel it helped me to find my husband, and it helps me to love my husband and
Cool.
make
Bridget,
our
before you
relationship
jump in real
work.
quick, I want to ask something really quick before we get into that. Santana, what do you think it is, or what do you think it was? We try, obviously, you've seen how we try to get people to come on the show, and everybody in the audience watching knows how difficult it is, and they've seen we've had to cancel shows in the past. But what do you think it was that made so many women so forthcoming and honest and wanting to call into Kevin's show to get his advice when, I don't think we see a lot of that. He really had this knack or this market cornered where women would call in and ask for his legitimate advice, but we seem to not be able to replicate that, or I haven't seen that replicated anywhere else. What was it, do you think, about him and his approach that resonated with women?
That's a great question, and I think my husband,
because we're forever
answered
trying to
that a
crack
lot
that code.
better. Yeah,
Okay.
we were just talking about that, and as I was, getting ready for the show, I expressed to him like a sadness I felt. No offense to you guys. I watched a couple of your episodes, and I think what you do is great, but I miss him. I miss Kevin. I miss the work that he did, because it's I've noticed that a lot of platforms are trying to replicate that, and I don't know what the missing link is for that, but I do hope that we can have it again, because I think it really helped me. And I never called into his show. I was too scared. I did not want to get ripped to shreds by Mr. Samuels, but just listening to his content and listening to him converse with different women of all ages, it helped me. And also, not even the women calling in, but his segments, his parts of the advice that he would give, like not only to women but to men as well. He wasn't sexist. He didn't only save his advice for women. He had a lot of advice for men on how to be better and do better in order to attract the person, the partner, the marriage, the job, whatever it is that you wanted.
What did you have to take ownership with? Because you mentioned that you took a good hard look at yourself as far as what results you were getting and decided that some things needed to change.
The biggest thing was committing to understanding men. I realized that a lot of my suffering within relationships was because I did not understand this male nature. And so when my boyfriends or whatever would do something that would bother me or would hurt me, and we would go into it, my perspective of it was so one-sided, was so like, you don't understand me, you don't see it my way, until I realized, like, even with the nicest of guys, the best of the best, in arguments, they would say similar things to me. And like, for instance, well, what do you want me to do? I don't know what to say. Well, what would you like me to say to you? And that made me realize, well, maybe I need to cut them some slack a little bit or something, or maybe not be so harsh. And it just put me in a space of before. And I took a long hiatus on dating from 25 to I met my husband at 28. I didn't date like casually, nothing. I was by myself, very lonely for those years, and did my homework. And I just committed to having a better understanding of men and how to love a man. I mean, we will never fully, truly understand each other, but I think it's important to at least try.
What did you learn? What beliefs did you update?
I learned that a trying man is really the best that a woman could get. A man that is committed to trying. Like, he's never going to be perfect. There is no such thing as a perfect person, but he will try. And just because he doesn't pay attention to detail the way that I do, or maybe doesn't see things or feel things the way that I do, doesn't mean he doesn't care or he's a bad guy. He just means that his brain works differently. And I have to pick my battles. I have to decide what is worth digging into, what is worth like making a conversation about or a big deal about, and what is kind of just like, okay, you know, I can let that go. I can have patience with him. And that's another thing, having a lot of patience, because, you know, guys don't always get things right the first couple of times around. You need some training wheels on a lot of things.
You've been married for a few years. You guys have any kids?
We've been married for a year and a half, so we're still fairly newlyweds and no kids yet.
Okay. And did you have any questions for us on the show, or anything that you wanted to clarify, or you just wanted to talk to us because you're
There was one thing we talked about beforehand. If you want to maybe talk about that, Santana. About male authority.
Yeah,
male
I think
authority?
It's really interesting how your take on men having the ultimate authority in the relationship. Yeah. I saw, not last week's, but the week before that episode, and that was a big part of it. Men having ultimate authority. Like, I do agree with you though when you mentioned about a man asking his wife like where to sit in the restaurant, or you know, like permission. My husband doesn't need to ask my permission to do. I actually lost a couple of friends with a situation like that they felt like he should have asked my permission as well as their permission to take an action. And I felt the exact opposite. His action actually got us out of a really bad situation, as he should. You know, that's why he's my husband, to protect me and provide solutions for me. And they actually were very upset that he didn't ask for permission before providing said solution. So I don't think that my husband has to ask me permission. I'm fine with him taking action. But I do feel...
Was it a dangerous situation? Is that what happened?
Oh, we were stranded in Cancun.
Okay. And he helped solve that problem?
And he helped solve that problem and got us our flights refunded. And it just, there's a lot, it's a very long story, but what he did helped significantly. And they wanted him to apologize for not, because he wasn't on the booking. He used my login information to reach out to the airline and act as me, because I was in Cancun, and the Wi-Fi, I mean, in Cancun airport, in the middle of the day, Wi-Fi is shot. Like, it's not great. So I didn't have the access to these things, and I'm texting him, freaking out, and he was able to help with what he did while at work as well. Just throwing that out there. But
he was in Cancun with you guys, or
no, we were in Cancun for one of their birthdays, and he was...
You were on a girls' trip?
Yes, and he was at home, and our flight got delayed, and then ultimately canceled, and it reached a certain... It was over 24 hours. What
do you think of the notion that we have with that boundary on girls' trips?
What does he think?
No, what do you think?
What do I think?
Because I mean, you still went on a girls' trip, right?
Yeah, I think it depends on who you marry and who you're dating, and if you don't trust them, then you have bigger things to worry about than girls or boys' trips. Like, I
what was the trip for? Was it a
silly.
birthday or?
It was one of the girls' birthdays.
Yeah, you guys have a good time?
A decent time. It was
decent.
It was fine. Yeah, I mean, the type of friends they weren't like hot girls or things like that. So like, people didn't hit on us. No one came up to us. Like, it wasn't that kind of vibe. It was very...
You went to Cancun to party and didn't have any guy hit up on you guys at all?
The tour guide hit on me in the very last excursion. This tiny little, I think...
You there for a week or weekend?
We were there for a week, yeah.
So all-inclusive?
All-inclusive resort, but we were about an hour south of actual Cancun.
So in Playa del Carmen?
Yes, exactly.
Or like the Mayan area?
Yeah, and the resort we went to wasn't typically a party resort either.
Yeah.
Like, the club part wasn't very crowded, and things kind of died down around 11 p.m. Yeah.
You said something about the leadership or the authority. Did you have an issue with that, or did you have a question about that?
Oh, no, I just think it's interesting, that verbiage of like, I had to go to Google to see the exact definition of authority before I like had any feelings or thoughts
Yeah.
on your statement. And I disagree. I don't know. Well, so here's the thing. I don't operate typically, and so for me, there's no need for my husband to have ultimate authority, but in the way that maybe another woman might operate or a woman could typically operate, I could see how that dynamic might work. But that it's just not necessary in my
But
relationship.
You're bound to have disagreements over the next 30 or 40 years where
Oh,
he
yeah.
wants to go left and won't budge, and you want to go right and won't budge. And then how do you determine which direction you go?
So fortunately, we haven't had too many situations where that happens. We kind of, the thing is, I don't work well under pressure, so I find myself often looking to him for solutions. And I think, like, I don't completely disagree with the sentiment that men have ultimate authority in relationships. I just don't feel like that is the dynamic, because I don't think he doesn't make the final decision. We kind of talk about things together and we come up to a place that works for both of us, and then he will take action. So if him taking action means that he has ultimate authority, then fine. Yes, it's true for me personally. But
if we were to think of like a hypothetical,
Sure.
a hypothetical where it's like, I don't know, it's taking a job versus not taking a job, or moving to a new city versus not, you want to move, but he doesn't, or you want to put your kids in public school, he wants to put them in private school, right? Two very fundamental differences that will have lasting impressions on your lives for years to come. And you
Right.
all, can you see a scenario? I mean, if we just put our hypotheticals on for a
Sure.
second,
Yeah.
where this is what I think is the best, and there's no room for compromise here, right? You can't take a kid and put him in two schools. You have to make a decision either way, right? So, if push comes to shove, what ultimately happens? Who ultimately is going to say this is what's going to go down?
I think that we ultimately, I'm really trying hard to think of a real
I understand.
situation, but hypothetically, like with kids going to private school versus public school, I think the direction we try to take is, it's not about what I want or what he wants. It's about what would serve us best as a couple, as a unit. We don't really have selfish moments of like, I want this, I need this. And if we do, then the other person is willing to sacrifice. But I think in terms of like moving, if it makes more sense, if I don't want to leave New York City, but he gets a job offer and it's amazing for him, and I may suffer or I may have to sacrifice some things, if it in the long run benefits the both of us, even if it doesn't benefit me at all in the short term and benefits him completely in the long run, if it does benefit both of us, I'm willing to be open-minded and do what we need to do for him, to serve him in the moment, and then us later on, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It sounds like the notion that we've talked about before, Moff, where it's like, you hear these high value guys complain that, women want an equal partnership, which usually means there's equal discussion or thought put into the decision, but then he has to execute it or provide the vast majority of the resources. That's basically what you've described there, though.
What do you mean?
Well, you were talking about, you guys would have a conversation about something and then he would go and do it.
Right. Well, that works better for us. He doesn't like when I step in, or if I try to step in, he doesn't think that it's my place to take action on certain things. If we decided to go forward with something, he prefers that I take a step back, and I have no problem with that.
Are there tasks that he might assign to you that are more in your realm of expertise?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So you guys kind of have like more of an egalitarian type of relationship, right?
I would say so. Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
there are things that he definitely leads in, and I allow is not the word, because it's not about allowance. It just is what it is. He's better at certain things, and I'm better at certain things.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I want to circle back to you in a bit. I want to give Elena some airtime. Eliana, sorry. 25, Georgia, been on Fresh and Fit, super
Staunchly
single.
opposed to dating.
Staunchly opposed to dating and in IT. So what brought you on the show? Why did you want to do this?
Well, he asked me, and I was like, okay. It wasn't really that deep, really. I was like, sure.
Was there something in the comments, Moff, or a disagreement?
No,
or anything?
no.
Okay. All right. So super single gal, you're 25. You're not interested in men at all, or?
Not right now. I just want to be single. Like,
And
I don't want to
been in
have
relationships
sex with
before.
anybody.
Like, you had relationship history.
What?
Like, what's your relationship like history? I mean, have you had boyfriends before? You've dated around. What's kind of led you to this decision?
So I got married at 18. Then I had a baby. Then I divorced him after maybe like 3 weeks after I had the baby. And then I got into another relationship, and then, you know, he proposed to me, and it was cool. And then like a couple of weeks later, I was like, ugh, like I got the ick. I was like, okay, I can't do this. So I left him. Then I got into another relationship, and now I'm just like, maybe I should like not date for. It's only been 3 months. I haven't dated for 3 months. Like my whole life, I've been in a relationship. I need to figure out what the fuck, what do I like?
So the single life is relatively new for you, it sounds like.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be single for too long, but
okay. So okay, sorry, I have my hand up here now. You divorced your husband 3 weeks after the baby was born. What happened? Why did you untie the knot?
I just looked at him. I remember like my baby was in my chest, and he was like, my baby was bloody and everything. And I looked at him, and he was so excited and everything. But I was like, oh my God, I had a baby with a man child. It was like this like spiritual like awakening thing. And then I was like, maybe I'm just like going crazy. But no, he's like that even now. And it's been like 4 years. He's a great dad though.
You guys were the same age when you got married?
Yeah, he was like a year or two older than me. I forgot he's 2 years older than me.
Okay. And can you define what a man child is, just so we can get our head around it?
Like video games and anime, and he's like my dream. I don't know. It's just like he's just like not manly. He's just not manly.
But he's a good father.
He's very feminine, you know. He's like a mama's boy. He has like sisters, and I was just like, oh gosh.
Did he have a father growing up?
Did he have a father?
Yeah.
Yeah, he has both of his parents till now. But his dad is like kind of like a dick. Like he's not like a real man.
So he's an asshole, but he's not a real man.
He's an asshole, like a real asshole. Like, but all of his children hate him. His wife like got cancer because like he stresses her. Like, I mean, like a true asshole, not like somebody that's just like is a dick sometimes or like sarcastic. Like
Hookup.
Like
he was like very feminine when you guys got together.
Yeah, but I was also like a little girl. Like I didn't know. Like I was like 15, 16. I had no idea what a man was. And
so he was your first love, like a high school sweetheart. Guys got married, had a kid. Wow, that must have been interesting. Untying the knot 3 weeks after the baby was born.
Yeah.
And then you said that you got engaged shortly after that, but a few weeks after you got engaged, the guy gave you the ick. What did he do to give you the ick?
He was just so like into me. Yeah, I know that sounds so stupid.
He was too into you?
Yeah, he was just so like obsessed with me. Like his whole world was like revolved around me. He changed his job just to be like right next to me. He would sleep in his car just to sleep outside of my house. I was just like, oh my God, like get it, like, you know, like just stop.
Why would he sleep in the car, not in the house?
Because I was living with my mom. Okay, let me clarify. When I divorced the guy, we lived in Austin, Texas, and I served him the divorce papers. He left. He went to cry or whatever, and I got into the plane with the baby, and I left, and I went to Georgia.
Okay.
Right. Eventually he followed me here, or followed me there. And then I was living with my mom because I didn't have an apartment anymore, or I had a car, but I didn't have an apartment. So the guy that I was seeing my ex-fiance, we lived like 30 minutes away from each other. So I
Okay.
don't know why he would sleep in the car. I don't know. It's because he wasn't. I'm Hispanic. Like he can't be in the house. I'm gonna be homeless with a baby. You
So
know.
he would sleep in his car in front of your house, staking you out.
He was sleeping Sometimes I would like sneak him in and stuff like that, but
That's
it was just like
yeah, I
stuff
could
like
see why that
that.
would turn you off.
Yeah, it just turned me off. I was just like, oh God. And he would just text me all day, every day. And I'm just like, go hang out with your friends, go do something, go
Right.
do anything.
Too needy.
Hmm.
Smothering.
Yeah.
Smothering is usually the word I think that satisfies that.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, so you're taking a break now, eh?
Yeah.
Doing your thing, going
You
to
don't
work.
imagine it's going to take very long break, though. It sounds like you're not planning on being single forever.
Hell no. I want more babies. I want to get married, but I just need some space.
What does that mean? Need some face.
I need some space. Like I need.
Space. How
I just
many?
need to figure out what I want in a man before I like get into another one.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Let's do it right now.
Yeah. So you want to get married? You want to have more babies? How many more kids do you want to have?
I want like 3 more.
Okay.
I want as many as he can afford. Really.
Okay. So you need to figure out what you want in a man. So what do you think you want in a man right now?
That's what we're. Let's talk about it because I don't know. What do I want? What should I want?
What about men turns you on? We know that you don't like. Okay, so maybe let's do it this way.
We'll work backwards.
Yeah, we'll just tackle it from what you don't like to identify what you're attracted to. Okay, so you don't like feminine men.
Mm-mm.
You don't like needy men. You don't like smothering men. You're basically just describing beta males. You're describing soft, agreeable, compliant doormats.
Yeah.
Most women don't like that.
Yeah. I want somebody to like low key control me, and I just like can't find that. Like I want somebody to be like, no, you can't fucking go outside. You gotta stay inside. And I'm okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so you want a dom sub type of relationship. You want a guy that can lead you.
I want to be like the princess, and he'll be like the
Okay.
daddy.
Would you want to be a stay-at-home mom at some point?
Yeah, I don't want to work. I don't want to work now.
Okay,
Dude,
but you are
you
working
have
right
to.
now. So if you want to be led, what age range do you think you should be dating in?
Probably like 40s. I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. That's what I seen like that works for me. You know, that's like the guys that like I like follow.
The guys you follow?
Like
Like on social media, you mean? Or
No. Like
Okay.
I've dated like guys that are older, like
Yeah.
we'll say like up to like 50, right?
Okay.
And I've noticed that like after 35 is nice, it's good, it's like it looks pretty and everything. But
Mm-hmm.
once they hit like 40, it's like they just know what they want, they know what they're gonna do, they know where we're gonna go and everything. They just know everything. And I don't have to use my brain.
He sets up the date, he picks you up, he pays. You don't have to worry about splitting the bill. Everything's taken care of.
No, that's with everybody, but that beyond that.
Right. Okay. Yeah, so you've got some insight then. You're talking about dating guys that are older than you, that are established, that have something going on. They know what they're about. You want to get married. You said you want to have a whole bunch more kids. You're at a bit of a disadvantage now because now you're a single mom. How old's your child right now?
He's 4. He's with his dad right now.
Yeah.
Like in another state.
Got it. But I mean, like you still got a 4-year-old that's from a prior marriage. So you're at a bit of a disadvantage because there's a contingent of men out there at that caliber that would just dismiss you because you've got a kid already, right?
That's fine. I only need one man.
Right. So to find that one man, what should you be doing?
Nothing really. What would I
It
be
happens.
doing?
It happens.
What should I be doing?
I don't know. I'm asking you. I want to see where you're
I
at.
don't be doing anything because, okay, like mind you, like I'm a Christian, right?
Mhm.
So I can't imagine myself like doing stuff to like try to make a. I don't want a man. I'm not looking for it. I don't know how to explain. I don't know.
Okay, let me just go back to the Christian thing because this thing pops up from time to time when we're doing these shows. Like, so you're a religious woman.
I have a beautiful relationship with Christ.
Okay, so you're going to run into some problems with guys that are men of God because women that are Christian are virgins. They haven't been married before and they don't have tattoos.
Okay. Then I don't think that's like I don't think that's what a man of Christ wouldn't look at me like that. So if he's looking
It's a
at me like
violation
that,
of the
then
rule book. It's a violation of the Bible.
sure, that of the Old Testament, fine. But that's not what Christians are about. If that's how he's gonna come into the world, then he probably needs to keep working on his relationship with Christ, because that's not how Christ works.
Well, that's what the rule book says. So, I mean, what you're basically
Does
saying is
he want a
doesn't
virgin?
agree
Then
with
he
your
should look
version
for a
of it then.
virgin.
Sorry?
If he wants a virgin, he should look for a virgin. But I'm gonna tell you right now, those 16-year-olds are fucking like crazy. So for him to find a virgin, he's gonna have to really work for it. He's gonna have to.
You're not wrong about that. You're not wrong about that part. But I mean, the notion of religion does pop up, and I always find it interesting when women are talking about, I want a good Christian man, or I've got a good relationship with God or Jesus or whatever. But there's a lot of violations of the rule book that's been written out there. And there's always the argument, well, it's not my version of it, or he needs to change his version of his relationship with it. So I'm just pointing that out because, I mean, like, you're talking about finding a guy that wants to have a whole bunch of kids with you, potentially 4, 5, 6, or as many as he can afford. That's great. That's wonderful and everything like that. But you've got to be able to start putting yourself in a scenario where you're going to attract that guy, that high value, more successful, older guy, and then be able to lock him down, right? Because you're going to be the one that's going to be the gatekeeper to when intimacy happens. He's going to be the one that's going to be the gatekeeper to when a relationship happens. And then eventually, if you want a marriage, he has to then propose to you. So you have several steps to get through, right? So the kind of guy that you're looking for, if you want a religious man, he's probably going to be going to church. Do you go to church on a regular basis?
You're taking my words out of context. I never said that I wanted a religious man. I said that, like, I believe in Christ,
Okay,
I'm
so
not
you
looking
don't.
for a religious man.
Okay, well, I mean, you mentioned religion and Christ, so I thought you were looking for that. So that doesn't matter.
He has to be Christian. What are we going to teach our kids?
So he has to be Christian.
Yes, because we have to be equally yoked. We can't, like, it wouldn't work out. Like, our morals and values wouldn't align.
Okay, so he's got to be Christian. So do you go to church?
Yeah.
Doesn't sound very convincing. Did you go to church on Sunday?
I went to a Catholic church on Sunday, and I was like so surprised, and it was so much more different than like a non-denominational mega Christian church.
Much different, yeah.
So different. I was just like, whoa.
Yeah, you should fit it in your schedule. I mean, if that's what you want, and you both want to agree on religious values, then you should be going to church on a regular basis. So
look,
is that what you're doing right now?
I go to church not to look for a man. I'm just working on my relationship with God. Like it.
Well, it just so happens to be that there's usually social after church. There's usually food discussion. Sometimes they have it in the basement, in the back room, or something like that. If you want an opportunity to meet a man that's also following the same religion, it would be ideal to put yourself in that room. Yeah.
I think I'm gonna have to tell you that I'm not looking for a man. I'm not looking for him. Like if God,
you're going to find this husband. If God is not going to deliver him on your front porch.
If God presents me with a husband and it's the right time and
see, this is the problem that you women have today. This is the problem that you women have today. Is if it happens, it happens. You guys have the same attitude.
I'm 25 and hot. I've never fucking had to worry about a man.
Not yet. Not yet.
No. I'm telling you right now because I've been like.
Everybody's hot when they're 25. Everybody's hot when they're 25.
I've never had a problem with a man and my child like that. After like. He doesn't really care.
But you're single right now, and the last guy that you were engaged to was a pussy, you said.
Yeah, you were. Oh my God. Okay.
I think what we're trying to square. Maybe let me try to bring this home here.
Hop
I
in,
think
man.
what we're trying to square away here is that Eliana, you have a certain caliber and type of man that you want. What typically happens, and what Rich and I have seen from, I mean, we know thousands of men, and we are involved in circles where we know guys that run businesses and they're masculine and they know how to lead and they know how to manage relationships. But the idea of wifing up a woman that already has a kid from a prior relationship for a lot of those men is a non-starter. It's a huge red flag. It's something they won't even entertain.
That's okay.
So, right, what I mean is like you've really got to thread the needle to find a guy that exhibits all of these qualities that you want. He's a leader, he's a Christian, he's God-fearing, he knows how to manage you, he knows how to take care of you. Maybe he does or doesn't have kids of his own. You didn't specify whether you would, whether you would go for a man that's already got kids or not. But what that means is that time is essentially not on your side, because I'm sure you've never had a problem. Probably you didn't have a problem when you're 18 through 25, but as your clock continues to tick and as you get older, those looks will fade, and like you'll start to get, I'm sure you can maintain your attractiveness well into your 30s, and some women can do it well into their 40s. But on the average, you're going to be better looking and more youthful and all that sort of stuff when you're younger. So because you're looking for such a specific man, what we've seen, and I think what we're trying to say is it would behoove you and it would make sense for you to take a little bit more of an active role in your search and going out and trying to find, just because that type of man is going to be really rare for what you're looking for. That's all I think. That's what I think we're trying to get to drive towards.
Yeah, I think that one of the problems that the gals
go to Santana
have,
next after this thought, Rich.
Yeah, I think that one of the problems that the gals have, especially when they're younger and they're attractive objectively and they have a good social media following with good photography, is that there's an unlimited amount of attention that comes your way from guys. And I think that you're confusing unlimited attention from men in general with the man that you want to get married to and have these 4, 5, 6 children with, because they're very different people. The guy that you want to get married to, that's got the capacity to provide for a whole bunch of children and keep you home as a stay-at-home mom, is not going to be on social media. It's very unlikely.
No.
Right? And the attention that you're getting from the guys on social media, if we're being honest, it's the vast majority of it is empty. Yeah. Like they're not husband type material, right?
I don't talk to them. I'm not gonna lie, I don't really reply to the DMs. Like that's like for fun. You know what I mean? Like, when
just
you're bored,
right?
you want validation, you're fucking bored. That's when you go to Instagram.
Just moths to come on the show though, right?
Yeah.
He just wants to clarify
right? Because that's what girls, that's what I'm doing. That's why I'm on Instagram, right? So I can get the likes and stuff
do you
like
think
that.
that might skew your view of the world with all that attention and likes and comments and DMs from guys?
No, because if you spend one day with me, you would understand why. Like the way that my personality is and like how I am.
Mm-hmm.
The attention that I get from Instagram is great and stuff like that.
But I mean, you did state earlier, I don't have a problem attracting men.
The physical world is like more.
But I mean, you did state earlier, I don't have any problems attracting men. Like I'm good looking. It's easy for me. But you have a problem being married to the guy that you want to be with that's going to have all the children with you because you're single right now. And the last guy that you were engaged to was a pussy.
Yeah. But that was like 3 years ago. I'm not even worried about that.
I'm just pointing to facts, right? Like I'm here to help you out. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to give you a hard time. I am going to give you a hard time if I hear bullshit, but I'm just trying to help you out. Santana, you wanted to jump in?
Yes. So you asked earlier about what it was, or Moff asked earlier about what it was that Kevin did to help. And I think the biggest thing that I did learn from him was the importance of becoming the woman that the type of man I wanted. So I think that's a big factor. You can have your specific type of person that you want, but you have to be the person that they would want. And I started my journey at 25 and did a lot of work and ended up finding the exact person that I needed and wanted. But I had to become that, because I think the unhealed version of me, my husband would not tolerate at all.
What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it makes sense to me, but I mean, I think I think my follow-up question is, how in the hell can modern women cut through the noise to find stuff like what we're doing, or find, KS, God rest his soul, and I think that's the biggest thing that we're fighting and combating today, is that there's all of these outside forces, or the mainstream narrative and everything you're seeing on social media is lying to women and trying to tell them what men want. And there's so few people that are saying, no, all that's bullshit. And when we say that, it gets covered with this mask of misogyny, or, you just want a slave, or you want a robot of a woman. And it's mostly women that are saying this, because nobody loves to keep other women single like women. And so that's the rub, and so I think that's what the difficulty is. And you're a rare case that you do and you did what so few women are willing to do until it's far too late, usually late 30s, early 40s, where they finally wake up and say, oh, I'm not getting the results I want. I might want to change my approach. And by then it's like, should have thought about that 15 years ago, but there weren't people around telling them the truth and telling them what was what. So yeah, I mean, I buy that 100%, but
well, I think a
there are
smart step
stronger
is
forces
to
at
not
play.
even wanting to entertain. Like, I don't think it's totally wrong for Eliana to not be interested in dating, casual dating. Like,
Sure.
that is empty and it doesn't bring you anything. And it's easy to get a guy, and yes, all the attention. And even now as a married woman, I still get that type of attention on.
But without putting yourself
the
out there,
streets.
how are you going to find that guy? I mean,
Oh,
all
no, you
dating
have
starts
to
off
put
as
your-
casual dating,
yeah.
right? Like,
Yes,
all
you
dating
have to
starts
put
off as
yourself
casual
out there.
dating. So, like, where
Yeah.
do you draw the distinction, though, between casual dating and
I think
because
you
it's
don't.
like, look, you've got to sample a lot of things to find out what,
No,
you got to
no.
find that needle in the haystack, no?
I disagree. I don't think
Okay.
you have to casually date, because casual dating.
Yeah, let's
I
define
guess it
terms. Like,
depends.
what do you mean by that?
For me, casual dating is when you're sitting across from someone and you both agree to like go with the flow, and you don't care, and if it happens, it happens. And that to me is casual dating, and I think that's detrimental to finding a successful relationship. I think that men and women have to be very intentional with their time, their resources, their bodies. So this hookup culture, this casual dating culture, it doesn't serve anybody. It doesn't, especially not women, young women. It's fun to be free and whatever, I guess, but at the end of the day, you feel empty with these failed relationships. And especially if you're having situationships or casual interactions and encounters that don't bring you what you truly want, and bring the connection and the true intimacy. Because intimacy is not just about physical hookups. It's about what you can do for each other emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And so if you don't engage in that until you're absolutely ready to find your husband or your wife for a man, then you go out and date. Like, before I met my husband, I can't even count how many first dates I went on. And 25-year-old me would go on a first date and not feel the guy, not be like, okay, he's but I'll go on another date with him. If I got that feeling, I immediately cut. I just was like, thank you for your time. I appreciate. And usually they paid. And I'm lying. They always paid. So I was like, thank you. I appreciate it. But I just don't see this going anywhere. And I did not continue dating until I met my husband.
Okay, that's exactly what I'm saying. That was put very beautifully.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was
Girl power.
That's real girl power, because I think women are afraid to tell each other the truth, and they'll like, yeah, sis, date that guy and let him buy you this and let him buy you that. For what? It leads to nothing. It leads to nowhere. It's empty. So if you don't want to like be bothered, really don't be bothered. Don't go out just for free food or free gifts or whatever the case because you're bored. Don't chat because you're bored. Like, spend that time with yourself and figuring out exactly what you want and how to become what you want as well as attract what you want, because you are what you attract. And I had to get real with myself, and if I'm gonna say all men are shit or the men I've dated are shit, that means that I'm shit, because that's what I'm attracting, and that's what it came down to.
How much time do you think you have, Eliana?
Like alive?
No, to find the. I mean, we don't know when that ends. It comes for all of us. But
Go
how
knock
much
on
time
some
do you
wood
think
real
that you
quick.
have to find husband type of material?
My grandma is getting married this year. She's 66. My mom is getting married. She's 44, and my aunt is getting married. She's 33. So I think I'll be fine. And like I said, I don't think I'm gonna be single for that long, just because of like how she said it. When I date, if I allow a man to take me on a date, he already knows like what it is. You know, I'm not gonna sleep with you. I'm like either we're gonna have a relationship or we're just not gonna. You know, so I don't know how long I have, but I do definitely think that I need to take the time to like become the woman that I want, become the woman that how do you guys say it differently?
Become the woman that the
person.
man wants, basically, right? So what does that woman look like?
I don't know yet. I've only been doing this for like a couple of weeks. Like, give me a break. I moved to a whole different state. I have a whole new job. Like, there's so many things to work. And by the way, like, I have a 4-year-old. So, like, there's so many things that I'm like working on. I can't think about like a man that's gonna. I can't. I can't. It's like like that's not like that wouldn't even be like a good priority.
Well,
And dating right now wouldn't be like a great priority at all.
I asked Monique earlier, can you paint a picture? Can you present an avatar of the guy that you want to be with? Because then that way you can make sure that you're like, you want to get bees, use honey. You want to get shit, use flies, sort of thing.
My mom. My
Sorry?
mom is like a very, very, very traditional woman. Like, she stays at home. She cooks for her husband. She make sure that she like always is like fit and looks good and is very like just very sweet and caring and strong,
You said she was getting married though?
Yeah.
So she's been divorced.
He died.
He died. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a second husband?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What sorts of behaviors do you think that husband material guy is looking for in a woman? What sort of character traits? What kind of behaviors? What sorts of skills do you need?
You know what I need to work on? Like I'm so argumentative and I'm so like feisty.
No, you don't say.
You know,
I had no
if you didn't
idea.
pick up on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's that. Okay, so there's that.
Yeah.
Good. So you've identified that. Okay.
That's why like I attract betas. By the way, my exes have been like all like very sweet and very nice and loving and like, they took care of me financially, but that's why I attract beta bitches, because I'm a bitch. And I'm like,
I mean, you said you wanted a dude basically to boss you around and tell you what you're allowed to do and what you're
I mean,
not
at some point, you sound like the kind of gal that needs a guy to basically say, look, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Right?
Fair.
Exactly.
In a respectful way. But
respectfully, shut the fuck up.
Respectfully, just shut the fuck up, right? Like that's a conversation I think that you're probably going to hear at some point if you're going to push back. And I mean, if you're dealing with a guy that's older than you, 10, 15 years older, you're going to have to follow his lead. Like, is that something that you can do, right? Are you able to look at his life and say to the man, hey, what can I do to be useful, to make your life easier? What can I do to help you out? Right.
So I think I'm like that, like in the beginning of the relationship, and naturally, I don't know why, but like I try them and they let me get away with stuff. And it's like,
tell you why.
Started not let me do that.
Yeah, it's testing the
shit
guy.
Test.
Yeah.
You're testing the guy to see what he's made of, to see if he can put up with your bullshit.
Yeah, and they usually fall. All of them fall.
They will usually fail because they don't know what it is that you're doing. They don't know how to tell you to shut the fuck up, basically. Right. So, like, you're going to have a hard time finding that guy. He's rare. He's rare.
Yeah.
I know that you think that there's like an army of them in some remote state somewhere in the fucking mountains, and they're breeding them by like the dozens on a daily basis and cloning these guys. But it's really not like that. They're
We're trying to
very,
make 'em.
very rare.
We're trying
Right,
to make
like-
them. Trust me.
And we have a fucking course that lays out, we have a 30-hour course that lays out step by step everything that you need to know. And guys still don't fucking listen.
Mhm.
Right. So the guy that you're looking for, that we're trying to prep for gals like you, they are very rare. So don't think for a minute that you've got runway into the future, into forever, and that he'll just show up. Because if you want that perfect avatar that you're describing, you've got to be the perfect gal for him. You can't be the mouthpiece. You have to be able to look at him and examine his life and say, hey, it looks like you need help with this. What can I do to be useful? And then complement his life. One of the other things that guys do not have any patience for at that caliber is disrespect, right? So you have to learn how to be respectful to a man. And at the same time, you don't want to tolerate any disrespect or physical abuse or any of that nonsense either, too, right?
Yeah.
But that should go without saying. But there's a little bit of that preparedness that you have to put yourself in. And you also have to put yourself on discount. Like, you have to understand, you're not perfect. You've been married, you've got a kid, you've been engaged. You know what I mean? Like, there's some baggage that comes along with that too.
Well, like, can't kill my kid and shit, so like I gotta keep him. So he's gonna have to just roll with the punches.
I was
Fair enough.
nowhere near
I'm just
talking
Fair
about
enough.
that. I was not even in the same ballpark as that.
Gotta fucking eliminate the kid.
I'm sad to
Oh,
hear
my
you say
goodness.
those words, but okay.
Yeesh.
Um,
Some subliminal thoughts, maybe. Monique, are you still with us? I want to circle back to you and
yeah, go ahead.
and see what you've thought of
Yeah.
this conversation and what the other ladies have said, and maybe if anything's resonated with you on your quest to find a high value man. Or have you been sleeping?
To some degree.
Please,
No,
you're
I've been,
honest.
no, I'm not sure, but I know from watching Rich's clips and what have you, high value man wants somebody that's going to give you sex, has culinary skills, is going to be respectful. I'm not sure if I missed a few things from the other ladies.
Do you think you embody those traits?
Do I think I embody those traits?
Mhm.
100%.
Okay.
100%. I tried everything with my ex. It's just I got tired of.
Yeah, remind me again what the issue was. It was just that he didn't want to work anymore, or were there other issues?
Yeah,
at
was always complaining. He wanted to stay home. He wanted to retire. I was close to retiring, and he knew that. And I would always make comments like that to his buddies. So I'm, just showing
besides
those
that-
traits, and didn't have respect for me. Would always, put me down in front of friends, and you name it. And I tolerated everything.
Why'd you tolerate that?
I'm the type of woman I am, and in my religion too, I try and make everything, I do everything I possibly can to make the marriage work. And I guess in some way, shape, or form, that's why I stayed so long. But I had it up to here and took the courage, and I knew he was going to take me for everything I've got. I mean, he took half my pension, which was worth 1.2 mil. And I left him the house. I moved out of the house. I even left him half the house, 90% of the house. I just wanted out of it.
90% of the household items.
Yeah, and he
Yes,
fought me
that's-
tooth and nail to keep some of the personal items that I wanted to take out of that home. So he made sure he stabbed the knife really deep.
Well, like we said earlier, this is what happens when you marry down as a woman. Most women marry up on the socioeconomic scale to a guy that's more successful. So it's
But
usually
when
the
I
guy
was-
that bears the brunt of it.
I appreciate
But to be
that.
honest, like, I mean, the tough reality, Monique, is like, I don't see that changing in your future. I mean, understanding, where you are in your age and your pursuit, especially the amount of money that you make. I mean, I think that maybe I'm doing the, unsolicited advice a little early in the show, but I think you know, the same way that Eliana's trying to thread a needle for her guy, you're, I think, trying to thread an even smaller needle for your guy. I mean, you know, it's good that you're open to a dude that's got kids, but guys in their 50s, even guys in their 60s that have got it going on, that make a ton of money, that are still going out there and chasing excellence, that are not ready to, you know, sit and retire on a porch swing drinking iced tea, are dating 20-year-old women. They're dating 30-year-old women. They're dating 40-year-old women that don't have kids or that don't have checkered pasts. Or so, I mean, I think I don't know if it's the sad reality, but I think the reality is that I think that it's settling is going to have to be something that you're going to potentially have to consider if you do want to be in a relationship and you do want to live out your years in one.
One of the things that, you know, popped up when we were talking earlier, before Eliana came on, was Monique was talking about the age range that she dates in, and I think it was as low as 36, 40, something like that. Plus, your competition's sitting right beside you on the screen because she's
Pretty
willing
much.
to guys the same age that are on the bottom end of your scale, and I think you're going to lose out to a gal like Eliana all day long, right? That's what Moff's sort of talking about. So there's a bit of expectation management that you're going to have to deal with when you're seeing these guys, right? You're not going to find your knight in shining armor. It's probably going to be a little bit dented, and there might be a little bit of, you know, some of the plates missing.
Might be tinfoil, not armor, right? Like,
and just before I forget, I've read some of the comments, and Claudia, Rich is my type.
Who?
Nice.
What? Sorry.
Hold on.
Claudia made a comment.
No.
Anyway, and the tough part is Monique.
It wouldn't happen, Monique, but thank you.
No, but I wanted to share that with you.
Let her down easy, Rich.
Yeah.
I think the really hard part.
I wanted to give you a compliment.
The really hard part that's really going to be tough to reconcile, and it is with a lot of women, is that it has unfortunately nothing to do with your character. You seem very sweet. You seem very down to earth. You seem like somebody who is easy to get along with for the most part. You've been through some bullshit. You've had some nonsense happen to you, as we all have. And that's sort of the difficulty that a lot of women have to reconcile, is that, you know, that's secondary. That's maybe, you know, third tier. You know, what guys are really looking for, especially guys that have options and have access to options, they're looking for young, hot fun, right? They're looking for, you know, arm candy and eye candy. They're not necessarily looking for somebody that's going to kind of just be that companion and live out their golden years and that sort of thing. So I don't want you to take that the wrong way, that there's something that, you know, you're not a good person or that anything like that. But when it comes down to what guys are looking for and what they're buying, it's a tough sell. It's a tough sell.
Yeah, the whole expectation management thing needs to be dealt with. You got to lower the expectations, because
big time.
Using me as the type, it's like the gals that I date are younger than me. They're absolutely fit. They're attractive. They're youthful. They're fertile.
I didn't say I was your type, Rich. I was just offering a compliment because
I heard it. But I mean, you're talking about the high value guy that you want, and then you're talking about a type, and then you point to me. Guys like me are not going into that zone, right? Like, that's all I'm saying. So you got to manage your expectations, right? Like, you've got to lower them, because the first thing you said is, how do I find that high value guy? And that high value guy is not looking for you. He's on a totally different path, right? So, I mean, you got to manage that expectation right from the get-go. I don't know that you're going to find much better than what you had in the marriage. You might end up with something similar to that, but
that's why I was trying to
draw that line in the sand, right? Like, you gotta be okay with maybe just the cats.
Well, I think she could find somebody who's a better person, because her
potentially,
sounds like a piece.
But he may not make more money than her, right? Or he may not be like the look that
might
she
be
likes.
a doormat.
So my boundaries would be never to live with him or never to marry him.
That's a potential avenue to pursue, and I've talked about this before, right? Like, together but living apart. You know, when you get older, after you've been divorced and you're not interested in having kids or raising a family, obviously, or you know, raising somebody else's kids, you know, for example, you can be together but live apart, so that you don't ever expose your assets, your pension, your wealth, anything to family law again, which you experienced, right? So that's one avenue that you can consider, where you can get the companionship, you can get the intimacy, you can get the time together, but then you part ways and he goes home or you go home, right? Make sense?
Competition is stiff out there
Oh,
for
I know.
top shelf men. There are beautiful women
I know.
everywhere. Top shelf men do not grow on trees.
I know that.
Yeah. What else we got? We got about 15 minutes left, Moff.
Yeah.
What else we got to cover here?
We
my
can
God,
push it. We
dating
can
for
pose it to the
sales?
ladies.
Ladies, do you have any other questions for us?
What was that, Eliana?
Dating is like sales, you know, like when you
Yeah.
have to like when you have to like pitch to like 100 people and then you get like one.
It is. It's like digging for
Pretty much.
gold. You have to dig through a lot of dirt to find gold.
I don't agree with the whole like there's like a small amount of women that you want a wife and there's like small amount of like high value men. I don't. There's a lot of beautiful. Not really. Have you ever like go to an airport? There's not that many pretty women. You know, on Instagram there is though. Everybody's beautiful with AI.
Everybody's pretty with filters and lighting and, you know, makeup and hair extensions and push-up bras and all that sort of stuff. Like, everybody looks great in photography, right?
Right.
There are objectively I think there's a lot more attractive women than there are high value men, if
Yeah.
we're being honest, because,
Why do you say that?
well, if you go to Instagram and you search like something like hashtag fitness model, you'll get millions of results, right? Like, they're all over there and they're all objectively good looking and attractive and fit. So it's not like they don't exist. They're out there in vast numbers, but high value men, you're going to struggle to find. Like, I can find millions of attractive gals right now on this phone, but you're going to struggle to find successful, competent, resourceful, interesting, funny, good social network, wealthy guys that are also tall and good looking and fit, right? Because
I mean,
they're just
even the
not out
guys
there in
making
droves.
even guys, even if we stop at money and height, the amount of 6 foot guys making $100,000 a year. I mean, we probably could run the numbers. My venture is it's like 2%, maybe 1% of the entire population. I mean, you're talking about, you know, 1 out of 100 dudes that you run into, maybe less, maybe half, maybe 0.25.
And then you start to subtract all the pussies, the weak guys, the agreeable
Social
guys,
dynamics,
the ones that,
yeah.
you know, you can use as a doormat, the ones that are, you know, that give you the ick, the ones that aren't tall enough, the ones that are too fat, the ones that play video games too much, the ones that are into anime. You start, you know, cutting those out of the
Microscopic
equation. You've got a very small percentage of marriageable guys, high value guys that you gals are all talking about, you know, the single ones on the show, right? So it's like,
and even if you do find that guy,
yeah,
the odds that he's going to be monogamous to you and that he's going to want just
you might have to share
and
him.
a kid in tow, you might have to share him with other women out there.
Oh, beat his ass. No, just kidding.
That doesn't sound like a very agreeable gal there.
At least she's honest.
No, I'm just fucking with you.
We had a girl on 2 weeks ago who said that. I mean, she was on Saucecast with us. Her name is Rain, but she works in Miami. She's not a promoter, but she works for a promoter company, and she spends time with athletes and high level people all the time. And she was honest, and she said, "Yeah, I would rather share that guy." It was so interesting because she goes, "The doctor that I was dating was low value." Because she's so used to being around like celebrities and extremely high status, high value men. And, you know, I think it's the first time we've ever had a girl on the show that said, yeah, if he's high level enough, like I'd share him and I would know what I'm getting myself into, but I'd rather have that than, you know, be with a guy that is beneath my standards or whatever she said. But I think that a lot of women probably won't admit that. I think a lot of women do think that way, but they're worried about reputation and their PR, and it kind of makes them look bad, but not to us. I mean, we know, even if they don't say it, we know.
What about like just like staying single forever? Like, what's the problem with that?
How you gonna get those 5 kids and be a stay-at-home mom?
Huh?
How you gonna get those 5 kids and be a stay-at-home mom?
I can still be a stay-at-home. No, I'm saying like,
You can't be a
what do y'all
stay-at-home
think?
mom without a guy
I'm
taking
not
care of
talking
things.
about. I'm not talking about personally. I'm saying like, what do y'all think about like a woman choosing to just like be single for like the like, you know what I mean? Just like live her
Happens.
life and just be
Happens.
single.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you happy that way? Sure.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I don't think they are though, because they're always talking about men and they're always talking about finding a good guy and they're talking about other people's relationships and they watch shows like The Bachelor, pining for, the guy.
The highest
I find those
percentage of people on SSRIs are
I find
white
those
women
shows
single in
really
their
funny
40s.
too, because it's like, shows like The Bachelor are watched predominantly by women. And it's like, if you take away the cameras and the roses and the nice hotel and all that bullshit, he's the guy that all the women are talking about on the Facebook groups. Like, are we dating the same guy? And they're calling him a fuckboy, right? But now you bring back the cameras and the roses and the hotels and they call it The Bachelor, right? And women will watch that shit on TV and,
And you're actively
It's an interesting world.
going. Yeah, well, you're actively fighting against your own nature, which as a woman is you want to get settled down with a high value man and have a bunch of kids and raise a home and a family and all that. That's your natural feminine prerogative. That's why, we're put on this earth, so to speak. And men, they want to get shit done. They want to conquer. They want to build things. They want to have access to beautiful women. They want to have their children of their own. And, when men are depressed or when men have issues, it's because they fundamentally lack a combination or all of those 5 things: access to beautiful women, a tribe of men who they can network and bond with, in shape, money and resources, and a sense of purpose and mission in life. And so all of that generally, like, that's what men generally need to be happy or to be somewhat content with lives. Women, family and kids, set for life. So, if that's all it takes for them to be happy, and if that is for most women, or biologically for women is the sole driver or purpose for their lives, to completely go away from that, I think you'll find them to be very, very unhappy in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
Men and women are better together than they are apart. So I think that what if you just stay single? Yeah, you can, you go girl,
Mhm.
you do what's right for you girl sort of shit. Like, you can tell each other that as much as you want. But at the end of the day, you still have that biological drive, that yearn to be a mother, to raise children, to nurture them, to build a nest, to be with a man, just as a man wants to be with a woman. And I think that, the further away that we get from that, the more and more problems we run into in situations where it's like, well, if it happens, it happens. Or what if you can just be single? Or I'm sure he's out there somewhere because I'm beautiful and guys throw themselves at me all the time. It'll happen eventually. I'm not worried about it because my grandmother and my mother and my aunt and everybody else is still getting married. It's like, but how many people are really in a state of bliss? Do you know what the number is? Do you know what the percentage is? It's only 3% in relationships where they're in a state of bliss. That promise of love into perpetuity. Something like 12% are in a state of love after 8 years, and only 3% are in a state of bliss. So all of these people that we talk about, like, so-and-so is getting married, and I see all these couples and they're married, it's like the vast majority of them will get divorced. And the ones that stay together because they can't leave each other because of insert whatever reason.
Just so sad.
It is sad. And I think that if men and women approach relationships from the perspective of intention and realism as well, and understanding, then good shit can happen, right? Because men have different roles than women, and we keep blurring these lines. It's like, oh, we're all equal, and we can just, whatever a man can do, a woman can do. Whatever a woman can do, a man can do. And we got guys cutting off their dicks and women, pretending that they're men, and this whole fucking bullshit of fuckery that's going on is just infused in the fabric of society. And we have people that are like, getting divorced, and we got Monique's who are like, I'm in my 50s and I want a high value man. We got Elianas that are like, hey, I'm in my 20s and I've got a kid and I've been married once and I've been engaged again. I got lots of runway. It's going to happen. If it happens, it happens. And you get like a little bit of sanity from Santana too, coming on this show. So there's a lot of moving parts out there.
Okay,
Approach
guys,
it
I'm
with
come back
intention.
next year married.
I wouldn't
I hope that for
rush
you.
into it. I wouldn't rush into it in 1 year. But what I would do is I would make yourself into the gal that the guy wants. The guy that you want to attract bees, you use honey. You want to attract flies, you're going to use shit.
Oh.
Become what it is that you want to attract. And do not indulge in anything that is going to take you away from that, that is going to make you less valuable than that. And that includes, partying and, like doing all this stupid, promiscuous shit that young women are doing today. Santana mentioned that earlier, right? Be intentional about the guy that you want, go and find him and be a compliment to his life and do that properly. Instead of like just, if it falls in my lap, it falls in my lap. The whole, if it happens, it happens. That's why I laugh at that. Cause it's, I've heard it over and over and over again, and it's not how things work. If it happens, will bring you into your 40s in debt, some fucking Tesla in your driveway plugged in, some gay looking car.
You don't like Tesla?
Divorced 3 or 4 times. I'm telling you. We've had conversations with these gals. They've got all the degrees on the walls. They've climbed the corporate ladder. They've got all the respect of their peers, but they're fucking lonely.
Can you tell me 5 things that I should work on?
I'll tell you what you should stop doing. So let's do the unsolicited advice.
Let's do it.
Because it's a lot easier for me to tell you what not to do than what to
I can't
do.
wait to cry tonight. Okay, guys.
Okay. Stop getting tattoos. Stop partying.
This was when I was 18.
Just don't get any more.
I'm just saying, stop getting tattoos.
You don't got to get removed. Just don't get any more.
Stop getting them. Stop partying. Stop being promiscuous. And stop being so disagreeable.
Okay. We could work on the disagreeable part. The other ones, I disagree on.
Have fun being single.
I think I am going to have fun being single, but I don't party and I don't have sex. So it's just like, I think, and I really, really, if I could take those lasers and remove this tattoo, I would, but it hurts. You have no idea. It hurts so bad. I did it a little bit like right here and it hurt.
Unsolicited advice, Muff? Oh, actually, I'll keep going.
Yeah, finish that up. Yeah.
I don't really have anything.
You want me to come back? Yeah, go ahead.
No, I don't really have anything for Santana. I think she's pretty squared away. But
Agreed.
Look at building a dynamic between you and your husband where there is a masculine and a feminine, rather than the egalitarian sort of like blending of things.
Alexa, stop. Sorry.
Alexa's getting involved in anything. She's always listening.
No one even said anything to her.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Monique, I think I already gave you some unsolicited advice. Apologies if it was too harsh, but sometimes the truth needs to be delivered, and it is cold and difficult. Moff, go ahead, bud.
I actually don't have much. I mean, I co-sign on what you told Eliana. I think the arguing and the being argumentative is going to be the biggest thing, but I understand why you do it, and I think you're going to still do it naturally. I mean, I think for people out there, what we're talking about is you're testing these men to make sure that they're trustworthy, they can take care of you, they can lead you, they can put you in your place when needed, and many of those guys are not stepping up to the plate, and we're trying to fix those guys. So I mean, that's a feature of being a woman. It's not a bug. Again, like I said, I mean, we kind of talked about it already. You've got a small needle to thread with what you're kind of looking for. I don't think taking too much of a hiatus is going to be super useful to you, but I understand, like, I think if you don't waste time with guys that you're not into right off the bat, then that's a smart strategy, kind of like Santana mentioned. I don't have a problem with girls going out on dates. I think you should go out on dates, and I think you should try to find guys that are willing to take you seriously. But, I don't know if going on 2, 3, 4, 5 dates with a guy that will continue dating you and giving you attention, and you continuing to go just because you like the attention, that's not going to be good for you in the long run. I'm not saying you're doing that, but I think that's a trap that a lot of women find themselves in. I don't have much for Santana either. I think, again, they're bound to have times and conversations where both of you feel strongly, the opposite in which direction you should go. And I think it's perfectly fine to have this idea of, we'll discuss it and we'll come to a compromise, but there are some decisions out there and there are fights and arguments that really, really drive people apart. So I think it's kind of like having a escape plan when you have a family and there's a fire in the house. You know, we had it like if fire happens, you know which way's out, you know where you're going to convene at the big tree in the front yard. God forbid a fire ever happens, but at least you got a plan and you've got a blueprint that you can reference if and when it does happen. And Monique, yeah, I mean, kind of gave it to you a little bit early. I think you're a sweetheart. I appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you for continuing to watch. We hope that you will continue to show up and watch every week. But I do think that you're aware of your situation, and you might have to just, you know, think a little hard and about what you're willing to compromise on, because there's not a lot of that generally goes on. But yeah, like you're competing with the same men that Eliana is competing with, that other beautiful women that we've had on our podcast are competing with as well. So it's not hopeless. It's a tall order. So I think if maybe you temper those expectations a little bit, I think you're going to be a lot better off.
All right. With that being said, we got wrap up on the show. Unplugged Alpha on Wednesday. Office hour. Oh, you're not doing your show.
I'll do it on
'cause you're
Thursday.
traveling.
It'll be pre-recorded. So I'll do the show tomorrow, and then I'll pre-record it and launch it same time Thursday as normal.
All right. Awesome.